talking about SNL, the history, the mysteries, and all the hot impressions in between, breaking down all the numbers as well. In the favorite sketches with special guests, it's on the Saturday Night Network.
Yes, that is right. Welcome everybody on into the Saturday Night Network for the final edition of our Hot Take Show for season 50. My name is Jon Schneider from the SNN. So excited to be with you to talk about everything we saw here tonight in our Scarlett Johansson and Bad Bunny season finale. We are, of course, here once again as a presentation of LateNighter.com with an amazing panel that I'm looking forward to wrapping things up with and getting everyone's thoughts in the chat on this night. Still a lot of mysteries to go through to talk about what we saw here, what might come over the summer. So a lot of things to break down. And first up, I'll bring in my man who I've been live with for 3 of the last 5 seasons. We have talked about the season finale right after it has aired. Bill Kenney is here. Bill, how are you?
Yeah, John, this is becoming a tradition. I'm glad to be here. Finale is always an interesting beast. And I think this one in particular, a lot of history and mysteries going on here. So I'm not sure what to make of it all, but hopefully talking with you two fine people will get me through this.
Yeah, we will definitely figure it out together and we'll talk through everything as a community. That's what we do here. So joining us, another amazing panelist that I'm so happy that every time I get to talk to about SNL, and it is Victoria Franso. Victoria, how are you?
I am excited, nervous, anxious, happy, maybe sad, feeling a lot of emotions. It's obviously a historic evening because it's the finale of 50 seasons of a TV show, let alone this iconic TV show. And, you know, of course, we've heard some rumblings, which I'm sure we'll talk about shortly, but really excited and happy to be here to talk about it with you two.
Yeah, we just wrapped the 50th season of Saturday Night Live, but only its 50th season. There's a lot more to come. So we're going to talk about everything that we saw here. We will break down this episode all week long, and then we will talk through our season wrap up. So stay tuned to the end of the show for the upcoming podcast schedule, because we have a lot of fun things that we're going to be doing to wrap up this season and then head into the summer towards season 51. So we're here right now, 1:17 a.m., right after this season finale. Everyone came in with a lot of speculation. Scarlett Johansson hosting the show, what we might see here tonight. Bill, give me the headline. What do you think we should talk about now that we're through this season finale?
I think we got a whole bag of nothing as far as all the speculation. I know, I haven't seen anything quite like this in a while. I know, Kate, I think we got early on that week when we found out she was leaving. Cecily, we found out obviously that Saturday that she was leaving in December. So obviously the Colin stuff has just been at a fever pitch. When my daughter's sending me stuff that I haven't even seen yet, that tells me that like everybody's in on this, and we really didn't get any answers. So I'm not. I want to say pleasantly surprised, because I'm hoping that means that nobody's leaving, but I guess we'll see. It's really hard to say.
Victoria, what do you think about everything we saw here tonight? Any hot takes or headlines?
I wish I had a hot take, and I really don't want to put anything out in the world that's maybe not true, or not that, all eyes are on me and what I have to say. I'm just a girl. I'm just a girl standing here in front of you, but I don't know. I don't know what to think. Of course, there are always going to be some rumors, and I don't know. That's my headline. I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I think it's fair to say that for everybody here that nobody knows, because there was nothing so obvious on the show that led us to any conclusion that someone is leaving. The most obvious thing coming into the show seemed to be that, Colin Jost would be the most likely to leave, given that Scarlett Johansson was hosting this episode, but there was still no indication of that on the show tonight. And, with the, sort of rise of goodbye sketches that we've seen over the last, 15 years, you would think that some people who have been on the show for a long time would want to have that moment. So it could mean a bunch of things. It could mean that nobody ends up leaving. It could also mean that people just, didn't want to overshadow season 50, and maybe they'll just sort of step away quietly over the summer. So we'll certainly be watching for all of that. But I do think we had a bunch of interesting things that did happen here tonight. Just with this particular episode, I think this is one of the most meta SNL episodes we've had in the modern era. You really got to go back to like the original eras of the show where you'd sort of, do a lot of behind the scenes stuff. And if anyone's ever watched me talk or analyze SNL, you know how much I get a kick out of when things become super meta on the show. But I really felt like that was sort of the theme of this season finale, which was just that it wasn't just a regular night. It was a night where we're all gonna, talk about that this is the season finale of the 50th season. So, it was one of those things where I wonder if the protocol for this night was that the show is bigger than any one person, that it is about the institution and how we're going to celebrate this end of this momentous season, as opposed to making it about anyone in particular. So something to think about as we break down each of these individual moments that we saw here tonight. Something that we are that isn't so new is opening up with a Trump cold open, where we're going to have James Austin Johnson meet Emil, who's playing the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, talking about Trump being in the Middle East and getting that gift of that $400 million plane. So we're going to see a lot of the jokes that you would expect from Trump through James, and just talking about he does sort of that thing where he says a full sentence and then yells one word, as we've seen all year long. And it's a mixed bag. I mean, some people don't love getting this every single week, but James is obviously fantastic in it. But the true fascinating part for me is the breakdown at the end of the sketch, where he will leave the sketch, mention that it is SNL's finale, the worst one yet, kicks a guy out of the audience to break the fourth wall, and then talk about what it means to sit there in front of the stage. So, Bill, how did you find this cold open played, the final cold open of the 50th season?
A roller coaster of emotions, because my brain is working overtime, knowing what we think is going to happen, what we're speculating might happen. And one of the things that, we even talked about it on By the Numbers on Wednesday, we don't typically get a political cold open in the finale. This is typically where we either say goodbye to people, or we get a kind of a post-mortem on what's happened over the course of the season. And we didn't get that. So I kind of groaned when I saw Zhazh. Love Zhazh, but this kind of bothered me. And then I start thinking, maybe he's going to be the one that freezes, and all of a sudden Mikey's going to come out and give a speech, or maybe. So all of these things are going on, and then we get that great moment where he does break the fourth wall, sits in the audience. I can't remember the last time we saw that in a sketch where somebody went out into the audience. We've seen it in the monologue, obviously, but and then the jokes about the hot people on the floor, 7 on the floor. Was great. 6 or below your bleachers you go. I love that line. But yeah, this was a really interesting way to go. And by the end of it, my roller coaster was kind of like relief. Like, maybe nobody's leaving. Maybe we're safe.
So this is a real thing, by the way. I don't know if we'd ever talk about this over here, but this is something that they actually do. When I first attended the show back in 2017. They were very particular about like your floor people and your upstairs people. And I've had like conversations with them then. And this is like, they want people who are camera friendly to sit on the floor versus sitting upstairs. But it was really funny the way that they addressed that, talking about we only accept 7s and up here on the floor. And Victoria, I got to be honest, I don't mean to, exaggerate or, aggrandize the moment, but I do feel like this was a little bit of a defining moment for James Austin Johnson. On its face, it could look like this is just another Trump cold open, one that we've seen many times throughout season 50. But I do think this one was a little different. And it's just because he's alone in the audience talking to the camera. You see everyone cracking up behind him. And it really felt like he was taking hold of the show. Like there was this thing where he's like, he had this powerful presence. I know he does it through an impression, but it was something that's like, he didn't have the crutch of directly facing the camera and having the cast behind him. there was nobody else he was playing off of. He was alone and talking to us at home. And I felt like there was something powerful about his ascension as one of the true stars of this show that I feel like this will be a defining moment that you would see on his reel whenever he does decide to leave this show. So what did you think of the cold open?
Yeah, I think he did a great job of essentially commanding the room on his own. And I mean, granted, I'll be honest, I wasn't crazy about having another Trump cold open, but I will say it was great to have a Middle Eastern person in the cast to play Middle Eastern figure. So, and hearing words like Inshallah and Habibi on SNL was kind of like, whoa. I mean, weird representation for me. It was hot and cold because, want it to be under better circumstances. But I mean, overall, I think it kind of felt like a passing of the torch almost. And I think given the context of maybe Mikey Day was leaving or whatever it was, but yeah, I don't know. I was hoping for something more interesting. I was just, again, glad that they had, a Middle Eastern person up there to play him. But yeah, it was interesting. It was not what I was expecting. I was expecting a lot more energy up front, but I can't complain about Jaj.
Yeah, agreed. I look, I think this was fun. I definitely would not have liked it if it stayed in scene with the Crown Prince. I was happy for Emil to get that spotlight at the start of the show, but I think the breakdown for me really made this more interesting as a part of a finale, most definitely. Quick dress note to air notes. They did change one of the lines. Not that this makes much of a difference, but in the dress version of this sketch, James mentioned that the people on the floor were below 30, not just 7s or 6s to the bleachers. You have to go. So I was under 30 when I sat on the floor. So
what is Leo DiCaprio handling this? What's going on?
It's part of the SNL
Oh no.
rules, I guess, when they put this up. But anyways, it's a lot of fun. Like I said, I think this was a defining moment for James, so I'm very happy for him. Let's head over to the monologue, where we're going to have Scarlett Johansson come out and host for the 7th time. I know we posted this on social media, but got to give a huge shout out to Scarlett Johansson, who has hosted now for her 7th time, which is the most among any woman in SNL history. So truly just a great record for her to break, and is one of the greatest hosts of all time, in my opinion. So great to have her here as the finale of season 50. She starts to sing some Billy Joel. We get the Piano Man, and Bowen's going to come up and talk about JD Vance and him playing JD. Then we'll get Sarah. We'll eventually get Chloe, Eggo, Heidi, and Mikey to start to talk about the different types of monologues. We'll see Keenan play an audience member, a member asking about introducing him to a dinosaur. Longfellow will have some fun with Eggo talking about how he's only been in 4 sketches this season. We will then see the rookies, followed by Marcelo and Devin, and then Andrew and James. And yeah, they're singing. It's really beautiful and making some fun jokes about Sarah leaving the show. And just for half a second, I was like, oh, is this the way we're going to announce this? But it was great to get the whole cast out there for the monologue, minus Jost and Che. Victoria, did this moment make you emotional in the monologue, seeing what we had here?
I loved it. I saw some chitter chatter on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, about, not liking the singing. I love the singing, and I love that the entire cast was involved. I thought it was very sweet. I didn't know if they were going to, signal if folks were leaving. I know that there was some guessing if the first folks who came in, I think it was Mikey, Sarah, Bowen, Eggo, and Heidi, was it the first?
Yeah, and Chloe
to join, and Chloe to join. And they're like, oh, are these the ones leaving? I don't know. I feel like that the rumors kind of distracted me from like fully enjoying the moment. But otherwise, I love the musical number. And I thought it was very sweet. And, I love that it was all hands on deck. I thought if Michael, Che, and Colin Jost joined, it would have been a confirmation, but was kind of relieved to not see them in it, to be quite honest.
Yeah, that was true. I was also thinking the same thing, that like at the end, perhaps Jost and Che would walk in and that would be some sort of confirmation. But that was our first, piece of evidence that maybe we weren't getting that tonight. Bill, what did you think of this monologue?
One of my favorite moments of the night. This was just really, really sweet. a nice way to get everybody on stage. I don't remember the last time that's happened in a way like this. And yeah, I had the same feeling when the first 6 came out, except for Sarah. Sarah was kind of the red herring because she would not be leaving, I don't think, at this point with her ascension into the hierarchy of the show. So yeah, there was some feeling there looking at the people who were on stage before the rest of the cast came out. Obviously, yeah, I'm going to want to go back and watch this again and be able to actually enjoy it a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, anytime we get Mr. William Joel being performed on SNL, I mean, Good Night Saigon, come on. This is another great moment with Piano Man.
It really was. And I know that there was some reports that came out between dress and air from some people who went to dress rehearsal and talked about how the cast members were crying. And I got notes from our team as well that, you know, cast members were waving at people that they knew and recognized in the audience. Like, it seemed like a really warm evening, and that everyone was really happy with the way that they are ending this season. So, you know, some of those things don't always play on screen, but just, you know, from being in the building and getting to see them, getting to see people, you know, waving at you in the audience. Like, I think that's really, really cool for everyone who gets to attend the show. So really nice way to open up the show. And again, like a lot of meta moments from the cold open to the monologue. Let's head into our first sketch that we see here tonight, which is the Channel 4 New York City News. And I saw this set being put up between commercials and I was like, are they doing Morning Miami? If you remember that sketch from the early teens, but that was a great one. I was like, is Bobby in the building here tonight? Because I'd like some bitch fantastic, but similar set. And we're going to open on Emil as Keith singing a version of Pink Pony Club to present the Channel 4 New York City News, as we're going to meet Ashley, who's playing Susan, Keenan is playing Tommy, and Scarlett playing Denise. And Scarlett's coming in from the nightly news where they don't make puns about stories, but Ashley and Keenan are from the morning news where they do make puns. And basically the concept of the sketch is that Scarlett does not know how to do a proper pun, and we'll start making some very dark ones with her stories. We're also going to see Devin playing Calvin, a reporter, and Heidi as a mother of a girl kidnapped from a Chili's. So Bill, what did you think of our Channel 4 New York City News sketch?
I was immediately engrossed. I think Emil, one of the better performances by anyone tonight, just coming out with no explanation, just singing in front of the news crew, was really, really great. The fish out of water is an obvious way to go, but we haven't seen a lot of news sketches this year. So I was happy to see this. I think ScarJo really did a great job here. I love the line, what she's having, murder, suicide, and then eventually cutting to Devin at the Chili's, and he says, you know, she wants his baby back because the baby's been missing for 10 days. And yeah, there's a lot of fun performances here. And ScarJo shows that she's still got it after 6 years.
Very true. Victoria, what did you think?
I really enjoyed how original the sketch was. I don't think I've ever seen a nightly news person, because those are really serious segments, come on to a new morning show and try to fit in and do a pun that it goes kind of sideways. Yeah, I thought it was really fun. I thought it was interesting to start off the episode, but again, was kind of hoping for more energy in the upfront, given that it's the finale of the 50. But overall, I thought it was funny, and I love the what's it called? The plot of it.
Yeah, I mean, I did like this too. I did love the plot. I do feel like Scarlett was rushing through some of her lines, but maybe that was by design. So, I mean, I'm seeing, some people in the chat who I really trust their opinion saying that they really like Scarlett's performance. I thought when she was rushing through her lines a little bit, it made it a little more about the puns than it did about the person. And I think that was my issue with the sketch, was that I was more interested in why she didn't understand how to make good puns versus what the puns themselves actually were. But maybe I was being a little bit too harsh on it in retrospect, so I might need that second watch to fully grasp that. But yeah, I mean, obviously Scarlett's going to come and do her best to make this sketch as good as it was. And I do like the concept a lot. So that's one I'm really looking forward to rewatching after tonight. We're going to get a Please Don't Destroy sketch. So as was alluded to in this sketch, we not a lot of Please Don't Destroy this season, as you may have expected coming into the season. Like, we're all like, okay, well, 20 episodes, we're probably going to get I don't know, 10 PDDs, but we really didn't get that many this season on the show. So Scarlett's going to walk into their office and make fun of their lack of videos this season. And they're all down on themselves for not getting too much on when she offers them first class tickets. And they're going to go on an airplane to Newark, where they will be rapping on the plane, balling in the sky, when eventually Mikey, as the pilot, will tell them that things are not going well. They have problems landing. And we will see Bad Bunny, our musical guest and former SNL host, play the role of an air traffic control operator to try and eventually get them to land. So a lot of fun back and forth here between PDD and Scarlett. Victoria, what did you think of the PDD sketch we got here tonight?
I'll be so honest, my jaw dropped when they started rapping. I loved it so much. I think it was such a fresh take for PDD. And yeah, I mean, I'm not entirely surprised that we haven't seen so much of them this season. I think it was more taking a step back and letting, some former cast members come on and kind of take some space here. But I loved it. I think ScarJo did a great job rapping too. And I just love the twist that we're going to Newark and just it's relevant, but also just I thought it was just a great bit. And it's kind of I like the musical part of it versus, another sketch. This was probably one of my favorites of theirs.
Yeah, I would agree, Bill. I did really like this one. This is actually probably my favorite Please Don't Destroy sketch of the season, I think. And I think I was trying to figure out for a while what it is that wasn't really clicking for me with PDD this season. And I think we debated for so long in the office, out of the office. And I think that was never the right question. I think the question was, should PDD be playing themselves or not? Because I find that every time they don't play themselves as writers and not cast members on the show, there's like a major disconnect for me. Like, I don't understand why Please Don't Destroy in a sketch would play people other than themselves if they're not cast members. But as writers, I'm okay with them playing themselves or versions of themselves. And I think that's what we got here tonight. It almost felt like more familiar to what they would be going for. So I think the back and forth worked great. And the concept was also really fun. How did you feel about it?
Yeah, has anybody ever compared them to Lonely Island? Because I think this might do it. We get singing. That this
Right.
isn't something that they've done a lot of, and I enjoyed this one a lot too. And the meta, like you said, was all over the episode with Longfellow calling out in the monologue that he's only been in 4 sketches ever, and her first line is, "Are you sad because you only did 2 videos this year?" And that was great. The whole concept of the Newark thing, it's one of the biggest stories going on right now. And I love the thought of this. They're so excited to ride first class. And when they think they're going down and he asks, will the headline be Scarlett Johansson and Please Don't Destroy? And she says, who's Please Don't Destroy? It's so great. Mikey in a great role. I mean, Mikey being Mikey, doing his silly Mikey voice, but I think he did a really good job as well. I enjoy this a lot. I think, they've concentrated much more on writing sketches as opposed to being in their own thing this year. And, we can be upset about that, but I think some of the sketches that they wrote were some of the best of the season. So, you take the good, you take the both. You take the bad.
Yeah, I almost think that part of what really clicked for me here as well is that they're sort of following the arc and trajectory, whatever. They're following the arc of how I see their careers are going. Like with the when they first got on the show, like they were as hot as ever, and they had their movie come out, and like the hype about Please Don't Destroy was massive, and it definitely has calmed down. That's not to say that they're not going to sell out doing tours all over, though they're not extremely successful. Obviously, they've been working on commercial campaigns in collaboration with SNL and their advertisers. So like, this isn't a knock on them, but I just definitely feel like they were on this like meteoric rise at some point and probably stabilized. And the fact that they can take that meta turn in this sketch and joke about the fact that they haven't got a lot on the show this season really makes me feel like I can laugh with them and enjoy what they're going for. So I'm really happy that this is the way that we ended season 50 with PDD, because I think that there's much more to mine there when they are playing versions of themselves and doing what they did here tonight. So hopefully we'll get more of that in season 51. Okay, up next, we're going to go to our couple at the bar. So we're going to see at the Grizzly pair, we see Marcelo and Ego, and they are sitting at a table and talking about their relationship, where they were like a one-night stand that sort of turned into dating for a few weeks. And then Scarlett's going to walk up and say, that is our table, which is her and Bad Bunny, who are also a couple. And she asks Bad Bunny to defend their honor to get the table back. So there's sort of two games that are happening here. There's the game that we see at first between Marcelo and Ego, where defining the relationship between the two of them is not exactly on the same footing. But then there's the second game that we're going to get, where we see Bad Bunny and Marcelo talking to each other in Spanish, and the women don't understand exactly what they're saying, but we at home get to see the subtitles as they go back and forth with each other. We're also going to have Andrew and James as sort of the Statler and Waldorf talking about this sketch as it's happening, which is sort of like this other third thing that's happening on the side. But there was some interesting creative ways that they went with this sketch, Bill. So I'm curious how you feel about it.
Well, the year of the restaurant/bar on SNL continues. It'll be interesting to see how many we've actually gotten, because I feel like we've gotten at least 2 a night every week. And if you come up with a different plan, Grizzly Pear is a great name for a bar, by the way. I may steal that at some point. But yeah, I think this went on a little bit too long. It was pretty obvious to me where it was going when Bad Bunny is looking over his shoulder the entire time waiting for his cue, and that really distracted me. But there are some funny lines here, especially with Ego and Scarjo. Nipple crazy cafeteria, and you can just go on and on with all the different words that they were getting wrong. But I don't know what I can say about this. I don't know what this says about it, when my favorite part was Zhazh and Dismukes, because I think that was really the nice little side conversation that was going on was the thing that really made me laugh the most.
Yeah, I mean, and it was interesting because it also made me laugh a lot. I just was like, I kept saying, like, why is this in here though? Like, what is what did it add to the sketch beyond just like, I love Andrew and James to have them there? Because it didn't really have anything to do with what was going on. Just it's more like commentary. And when you're in the world of the sketch, the women in the couples cannot see the subtitles, right? So we're going to have to imagine that they are just not understanding what's going on, and we're laughing because we know what they're actually talking about. But then to give us like another side commentary about like, oh, this is very common. It's kind of like a telenovela where, the passion, or what do you say? In their culture, the line between passion and violence is paper thin. Like, I don't know why they needed another explainer, despite how funny it was to get the two of them there in the sketch. Victoria, what did you think of this one?
John, I'm sorry, Victoria. One last point, John. I know what a Friends fan you are. This reminded me of Joey pretending to, or thinking he could speak French, and Phoebe having to explain to the French person to the French teacher what Joey was doing.
Yes, as he would go play Pyramid. Yeah,
yes.
Password, whatever it was. Yeah. Victoria, what do you think of this one?
I agree with you. I don't understand the addition of them. I mean, I love them, so but I just didn't understand their addition to this sketch. That being said, I love the back and forth, and Marcelo saying, "Oh, I'll take care of this baby," and then they're arguing but agreeing. I thought it was a really fun game. Also, Ego looked super freaking hot.
Yeah.
No, she looks great. I mean, as always, as everyone does always, but yeah, just want to shout out there. But no, I thought it was fun. I think I agree with Bill too. It went kind of longer than I wanted to, especially at the upfront. I think they could have made the relationship between Ego and Marcelo a little bit quicker. They could have explained that a little bit more, and then it would have been more fun to see Marcelo and Bad Bunny have more of an exchange. And then I don't know, I would want another ending where they didn't. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, well, I had the same thought as you. I was like, I don't know, they were going down two different paths here with sort of like I wrote down two plots that were happening, but I do like that Bad Bunny sort of screws over Marcelo at the end by,
Yeah.
and it sort of connects these two things together. Like that's where I enjoy the writing here, is that because he knew that Marcelo didn't really want to be with this girl, and we get that set up at the beginning of the sketch. He ends up taking advantage of him, and the way that he doesn't get Scarlett mad at him is by saying like, no, what we were talking about was the fact that Marcelo really loves Ego and really is excited to be with her, and then like that's how he gets himself out of trouble, is by getting the other guy in trouble. So the dynamic of that relationship really works. And I'll say from a sketch writing perspective, Victoria, like I think it's a lot cleaner to do that without Andrew and James in it, despite how much I enjoy having them in a sketch.
Yeah. No, I feel like I would have loved all four of them coming to peace together and hanging out. Like, obviously, we don't need
Yeah.
to expand on that at the end versus getting him in trouble, and then it kind of just like is a choppy, we're leaving and whatnot. But either way, I love the game of their exchange, Marcel and
Yes.
Bad Bunnies. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. So this was a really fun one. I can't help but see subtitles on SNL, and shout out my man Buck Henry. So always think of that different context that he used to do that in monologues. But yeah, really really cool. And I'll also just say Marcelo has had a really great season overall. He's got a lot of stuff on the show. Personally, one of my favorite things that he's done all season. I think like, despite the, some things were for other people, this was for me. Like I really like the way that he used like his background and into the sketch, and the way that he can take his like high energy and harness it for this sketch. Like it wasn't too over the top. I thought it was perfectly for the character. It was perfectly done for the character that he was playing. So really, really like that here. All right, let's talk about the next pre-tape that we get. So it is a reprise of a sketch we saw in the previous season with Sydney Sweeney, but this time we get it with Scarlett Johansson, where Ego, Heidi, and Scarlett are all going to sit around a table talking about, again, super meta, talking about Scarlett saying, okay, yes, I'm married to Colin, but I do have a crush on somebody, and it's Bowen. And Ego and Heidi say that he is, in fact, straight. We get a Gina Gershon cameoing again in this. So there's a mention of creepy Longfellow. There's like a lot of really fun Easter eggs here that you got to go back and watch. We eventually will get Colin and Scarlett in an elevator before Scarlett kicks him out, and great wimpy Jost as he walks out. Bowen then gets into the elevator. Lots of back and forth innuendos with Mr. Mudang, and I want to see what that Yang do. And eventually they'll go and they'll do it. We will see Jane and Devin hear them in the studio over the speaker as they're in the control room. Scarlett will eventually come over to Bowen's house, where she will see Ego come out of the bedroom, and eventually Heidi as well. And we'll get an appearance from Emily Ratajkowski. So, we have seen this and broke this down about how much we did love this from the Sydney Sweeney episode, and how that was a very defining sketch for Bowen Yang's tenure. The speculation a lot coming into this episode was about Jost and Shay, but this is a big moment here for Bowen Yang, Victoria. For him to bring this back in this episode, does that mean anything? And what did you think of the sketch?
I thought it was just, I didn't think it had any meaning. I just thought, oh, Colin Jost, someone we love to poke fun at. His wife is on the show. Let's do this bit. And it's a bit that I think for me worked. My favorite is, wait, do we need protection? No, it's fine. I can bottom. Very fun. I thought it was very fun and very silly. And I love Bowen doing everything to be straight, from push-ups to telling Gina Gershon slower while she's kissing his neck. I just, he was like very macho or whatever it was. I thought it was I just thought it was funny, and I thought it was just a moment to, play the game of, we're poking fun at Colin. His wife is hosting the show, and I thought it was a great fit. I loved it overall.
Yeah, Bill, if Bowen is going, this was a interesting way to end the tenure. If he's not going, why bring this back now? So what do you think about this sketch returning for the second time?
Let me give a condiment, or I mean a compliment sandwich. I love seeing Jost in another pre-tape. I love him taking the role of Cuck from Kyle. I love seeing the control room, which is fantastic. But there is no reason in the world we needed this back. He's playing the same exact beat for beat, but not as good as he did with Sydney. We don't even get, kind of that sound bite like the Heavy Naturals when he's talking about that with Sydney Sweeney. So, yeah, this just didn't work for me on a lot of levels. It's one of those things that I really didn't need to see a second time unless you have a different angle with it.
Well, I do think the different angle here is just the Colin Jost and Scarlett Johansson relationship that he's playing into, where he's sort of like getting in the way of that. And to do that in sketch form, I think maybe works differently than what we saw with Sydney Sweeney, who I think what really works with, obviously, Scarlett Johansson, I think what works with Sydney Sweeney is sort of like, in that sketch, she's sort of like playing hot in the entire episode. And like that was the roles that they kept putting her into. So the idea that Bowen, who is gay, was going to actually be straight in the sketch and hook up with her added like an extra layer of comedy to that sketch. Whereas in this, Scarlett Johansson, despite how beautiful of a person she is, she doesn't necessarily like play like the hot person in all the sketches. And because of that, I don't know that the initial base humor works there. So for me, it like works on a level of like her deciding that she's going to just break up her marriage with Colin and end up with Bowen. And that's for me why I probably enjoyed the second version more than if they just did like the straight for straight, no pun intended, reprise. Okay. But speaking of reprises, this was a weird one. So I'm gonna just give everybody a little bit of heads up. This is interesting to discuss. Scarlett Johansson is playing a character named Janice, who is with Marcello and Mike Myers in an elevator. So we get Mike Myers in the building. No Elon Musk for him to play. Just interesting that he's just like hanging out there. Don't know if he's like contractually obligated to be there in episodes after SNL 50, but very interesting to have Mike there. And then it comes in, nice to meet you, huge fan. So it's sort of like, Dana Carvey and Kevin Nealon used to play these elevator guys. Were you thinking the same thing, Bill? Where a celebrity would walk in. I thought it was kind of that.
Roxanne.
Yeah. So I thought they were maybe going for that. Anyway, so they start talking to Mike, and then they are going to leave because Keenan is going to walk in as Kanye. And then we're going to get this whole Mike Myers and Kanye thing where they're going to talk about the titty trial and like what happened to you. We'll eventually see Eggo and Devin, who don't want to come in the elevator, and they're going to talk about taking a selfie. But like flashback to 2005, Hurricane Katrina, there's a fundraiser. Mike Myers is there with Kanye West. Like there's a lot of backstory here. And Kanye says on live TV in the middle of the fundraiser that George Bush doesn't care about Black people. That obviously became like a very big thing. Kanye of then wasn't necessarily the Kanye of today, though your mileage may vary on that. And we end up seeing on season 31, episode 1, so almost 20 years ago, where Steve Carell is the host, but Mike Myers makes a cameo standing in the SNL hallway as they reunite Mike Myers, the real Mike Myers, and the real Kanye West reunite and have this awkward moment in the hallway. So to me, Bill, this is like sort of a play on that, but there's so much background to fully get what they're going for here that I am stunned that this was in this episode. So what do you think of what we saw here tonight?
Okay. So yeah, as you said, there's so much to unpack. This is bizarre. This is as bizarre as it gets. And I like bizarre. I like something that's kind of that we would not have expected going into this episode in any way, shape, or form, even if we thought Mike was going to be in the building and not doing Elon. So I like that they did this, but as you said, like this is something that they did almost exactly 20 years ago, much better. Keenan playing Kanye is an interesting take. I think he did well for what it is, but
I did not think that impression was so great, and I love to Keenan.
Well, I mean, I don't know how much we've heard Kanye's voice in the last few years too.
That's fair.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I kept thinking it was going to go in a different direction. So when Mike says, "Oh, here's this another celebrity coming on," I thought it was going to be Dana Carvey. I thought it was going to be somebody else that's in the building for, this huge finale, yada yada yada, and that was disappointing. Yeah, I obviously we didn't need this, but I'm happy to see something so weird and bizarre show up in SNL in its 50th year.
But I was just trying to figure out, like, did something happen this week, like with Kanye that Ye that I didn't know about, that they were like that would have brought this back up? And I see like some of our friends in the chat were saying like that maybe this was something left over from the 50th, and like that could definitely be a possible explanation. But like the packaging of that was so unique. What did you think of this, Victoria?
I'm in the boat. I don't know. I just was, if Mike Myers is going to be in the building, you know what I mean? I would want more than this. Like you kind of explained it correctly. You need to have all that background to fully appreciate this, or maybe get on to what they're trying to put out there. But I don't know if Mike Myers is going to be in the building and we're not going to do Elon Musk. Give me some Austin Powers. I haven't seen that guy in a long time. Bad Bunny's there and he did that Shrek thing. Maybe he confronts Bad Bunny as like, hey, that wasn't a good show. Or I don't know. Give me something else. I didn't fully, I don't know. I didn't think of all that background to fully appreciate it. Maybe it's going to take a second or third watch for me to process, but I don't know. Or it would be, I don't know. I feel like they could have done something different, or if they were doing a fundraiser for something happening in the United States, given everything that our president's doing, and he's doing like kind of like the same thing they did for Katrina, and then Keenan pops up as Kanye West. He's like, oh no, not doing this again. I don't know. I feel like they could have gone in a few different directions.
Yeah, so I just want to point out from the chat, and yes, I do know that he released a song, just an insane piece of music. I won't even call it a song, an insane piece of music a couple weeks ago. So yes, I think like as far as his relevance, like I can understand that. I just think that like, if SNL wanted to do a Kanye sketch, by all means, like, I mean, just go like have at it. It was just that the sketch was packaged as Kanye West is meeting Mike Myers in an elevator, and then there's like he's playing himself, right? So there's like the meta aspect of this is happening on Saturday Night Live, and I'm a huge fan of, like, I always said, like, you don't have to do SNL 50th anniversary sketches in the anniversary special. I'm cool with them putting that in throughout the entire season, but they didn't do that. So the fact that they like had this in the finale here was very unique and a little bizarre, to be honest. Now, I do know about the entire history of the situation, so there were like funny moments that I definitely laughed at, but it was just like a very, as people who analyze this stuff all the time, it was just like a really curious decision to have this in here. And like, that's one of those questions that I would love to, like, how did this come together? Like, was there something else that maybe, as Bill said, maybe there's something else that they had Mike lined up for, and then it just like never came through. Like, Dana couldn't fly in to do Wayne's World or something, and then this is what we ended up getting. But this is a very, very interesting sketch that we had here in the 50th season finale. All right, let's get over to Bad Bunny, who performs a couple times on the show here tonight. So Bad Bunny is no stranger to Saturday Night Live. And what did you think, Victoria, of his performances here tonight?
He's hot.
Yeah, that seems to be a theme for you tonight.
Yeah, he's hot and makes good music, and I like it.
Okay. All right. Benito, there you go. Bill, what did you think of Bad Bunny's performances tonight?
They were good. I really enjoyed the set design, the whole Top of the Rock thing that they had going on in the first musical set, where they're recreating the thing that happened at the very top of that same building back in the early 1900s. Was a lot of fun. He's such an energetic performer. I didn't love him as a host. I feel like something was lost in the translation. No pun intended. No ScarJo pun intended. But I think it was really interesting to. I think when he comes back as a musical guest and does cameo in certain pre-tapes and things like that, that it's a lot of fun. So happy to see him.
Yeah, totally agree with that. Always love when he performs. He was really fun. He was really good at the SNL 50 homecoming concert as well. Always brings the energy. Was anyone else a sicko like me and was reading everything that was written on those bathroom walls in graffiti during the second performance to see if it said Colin Jost is leaving or Bowen Yang's last episode? Because that definitely was me about half an hour ago. I was pausing and looking through it.
Did you find anything?
Nope, nothing. Nope. I
think after update, I had given up hope that we were going to get any straight answers. So no, I was not looking.
All right. Well, let's
that's really smart, though, John. That's really smart.
I'm saying if you're gonna throw that Easter egg out there, I mean, I didn't get to everything, so if somebody wants to go back and check, maybe there was something there that's interesting. But yeah, a lot of fun. Let's talk about a weekend update, which so many things to talk about here. So the final weekend update for Colin Jost and Michael Che for now. Where we're going to see Miss Eggy as the first correspondent coming on. Of course, this was one of the best things that we saw on Weekend Update this season, as Ego does her stand up in front of the desk, and we get obviously in the first edition of this the classic shit line. But you know her, you love her, you got her fine from the FCC. Here's Miss Eggy, so she's going to come out and do her thing. How do we think the second version of this went, Bill, with Miss Eggy in front of the desk?
Yeah, I loved it. I think this was something that we definitely needed to see again. Obviously, if you find a different angle on it, and I think she did. Obviously, she was playing the same persona, but covering and kind of railing against the TSA and all the stuff that's going on there was a lot of fun. I enjoyed the line. She's talking about them wearing those Papa Smurf gloves, and why they gonna feel me up when I got a gun. Like, Ego is just an all-timer, man. Like we say it all the time. She just did fantastic. This was not too soon to bring back. I really like this.
Oh man, I could watch this every week. It was that good. I really think she's so fantastic in this. Like if she ever does shows or specials or whatever, like you got to include this character. This to me was a great reprise of this sketch, and it wasn't even like, I know we had that special moment, Victoria, with the audience last time, but it didn't need that for me to still get the energy of this. What did you think of Miss Eggy's return to the desk?
I agree with Bill. I truly loved it. I love piss a bisque off. We'll be using that moving forward. I could watch a full Netflix special of this stand-up.
Yeah,
it's so fun. Really, I mean, if I don't know if puns are the theme of the evening, but great use of puns, very funny. I even enjoyed the interaction with Colin Jost, but no, I loved it. I have 0 notes on this.
Yeah, I thought it was great. And then she starts getting into the menopause, Bill. So it's a lot of stuff there.
And let's
menopause.
Be remiss not to mention the best line in the whole thing, that she needs no hollandaise sauce because she knows how to Benedict.
All right. Yeah, that's wild stuff. And then, post between Miss Eggy and the joke swap, I felt like Colin, because I was obviously looking and seeing like, okay, is this it? Are they going to go? And I felt like they were a little tight pre Miss Eggy, but then post Miss Eggy, they were very loose and having fun with a lot of their jokes. I like when Che was like, I feel like my jokes take more time. And at one point, like Colin starts choking and he says like, I feel like the last joke took my breath away. So it's like always fun to see them sort of like let loose that way. And we're definitely going to see that here in the joke swap. So we're going to start off here with Colin talking about it's SNL's 50th season. So Lauren, retire bitch, let me run the show. Interesting. All right. First indication that maybe there's a higher calling for Colin beyond just leaving the show. He's going to do a whole bit about a black soap opera. Michael Che will talk about the Minecraft, the chicken jockey stuff. We're going to get Colin talking about bonobos. And then eventually Scarlett Johansson will come out to sit next to Michael Che, which obviously is in reference to what happened at Christmas with the joke swaps. If you didn't watch that one, go back and watch that one before you watch this one. But Michael Shea says, Scarlett, can you come out here? I'm jealous. I've never even seen a human vagina. I once spent the summer on a farm. Maybe I'm just embarrassed about my own body. I have more nipples than a pregnant dog. And when Colin discovered me, I was selling crack outside the zoo. And now I'm selling crack outside of American Girl Store, and says, I love you. And then we're going to get Colin with a wild joke about Steve Kerr's son, Nick. Oof. And then finally topping it all off with his childhood hobby. There was a little bit of a weird thing going on with I don't know what was happening with the childhood hobby graphic that was on a little early. But regardless, talking about him topping off Priest with his pretty little mouth. Speaking of which, he puts lipstick on and says, Lauren, I'll do anything to run this show, as we wrap on our joke swap. So, Bill, what did you think of the joke swap here tonight in the season 50 finale?
Listen, it would have been an impossible task to top Christmas. I think everything that was happening there, it was one of the hardest times I've laughed at this show in a very, very long time at Christmas. ScarJo watching on the screen as the jokes come hot and heavy at her. But this was great. This was really great. I think there was a lot of good stuff. Obviously, the next logical step was to bring her onto stage and sit at the update desk. I don't know if she's ever sat at the update desk. I have to obviously go back and look. But the fact that, Che seemed to get more of the bad stuff this time, which is funny because it doesn't usually work that way, other than Colin putting on the lipstick at the very end and telling Lauren that he's ready to take over no matter what. So, yeah, this was great. I think we all expected this in some form. Obviously, I'm sitting there waiting to see if there's going to be some kind of announcement, because this is where it's going to happen. So it'll be fun to go back and watch these jokes again to see what else I might have missed.
Yeah, and just talking about, the jokes at dress versus air. So, I say this every time that we talk about a joke swap, that some of them are the same from dress and some are different. So the ones that were the same from dress include the All My Children Don't Know Who Their Daddy Is, the Colin topping off the Priest. They kept that one. Also, the monkey being the sounds of the Kendrick Lamar made during the Super Bowl. That one was also from dress rehearsal. Victoria, what did you think of the joke swap? How did it play for you tonight?
I enjoyed the jokes. I thought it was fun. I really love that they did pull Scarlett Johansson out and had her sit and have Che apologize to her. I actually didn't think of that. So when that happened, I was like, oh yeah, that makes absolute sense. I was a little distracted by waiting for something to happen. So truth be told, I do need to watch this again, though the jokes first time around were really funny. I think without me frozen waiting for some sort of announcement or whatever, would probably enjoy it a lot more. And that's why I wore my lipstick tonight.
Oh, good. Oh, good. So
in solidarity with Colin.
Oh, I thought you meant to top off a Priest.
No, I am Catholic, but I'm not that Catholic.
Okay, noted. So I agree. I also think it was distracting. And the reason is that I know that they don't have to acknowledge this, but they've done so many things in the show, especially the last few weeks, but more relevant tonight, to acknowledge the meta of the show. And the fact that Colin Jost had Scarlett Johansson as the host of the season finale of the 50th season, and he's been there for 20 years, and it felt like most of the media, not just us, but even mainstream media, newspapers, online publications, were talking about if he was leaving the show. I feel like even if he wasn't leaving, or even if he isn't leaving, I feel like you should say something about it on the desk, because you are right, Victoria. It was a little distracting, and this is definitely the super fan perspective. I'm sure there's millions of people watching tonight that could not give a fuck about what I'm saying, but I personally agree that I was waiting in the joke swap for them to say something about the fact that everyone thinks that I'm leaving the show. Instead, they went with the whole that I want to take over for Lauren thing, which was a weird path to go down instead. It was funny to me, because of course, Colin Jost has to be on that short list of people that could eventually run the show, because he gets it and he's been a huge part of the show for 20 years. It was just it was a very fascinating joke swap to have here, and maybe not the last joke swap that we're going to see between these guys. So again, a lot of mysteries to talk through. Let's talk about our post-update sketches, where we're going to see Penelope's Secret, a scene of Penelope and Madam Wilcox becoming intimate. Director is Mikey. We also have Sarah working there. Keenan and Scarlett come in as intimacy coordinators. We are going to have Ashley and Jane as the performers, and it's just a lot of euphemisms for figuring out how lesbians have sex. So just a ton of them. Eventually, Keenan will be so distraught by the idea that he was going to run through the wall of the set, and we get our classic season 20 spinning newspaper as we end the sketch on that. Victoria, what do you think of our Penelope's Secret sketch?
It didn't hit for me. I guess I didn't understand it. I don't know. Something about it was just a little off. Maybe it was the jokes. Maybe it was, I don't know. Something about it was a little off for me. I thought when they brought like intimacy coordinators, I thought they were going to do like a Baldoni, Blake Lively situation, or, making fun of that. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I did like the line of ally passing was kind of funny, but I don't know. It just didn't land for me. I think I just need to watch this one again to wrap my head around it.
Bill, did you wrap your head around this one on the first shot?
I did, and I do not want to rewatch this one. Boy, oh boy, this is right. I mean, in what world are we living where we think that there's somebody who doesn't understand how two lesbians, make love at this point in time? I guess that's a possibility.
And the answer is,
is what?
Jon.
But
I agree with that, Bill. I think it was like, I don't know, the joke in 2025. You know what I mean? It just,
and now he's discovered porn, online porn. Like, so, okay, that's, I don't know. This was a mess from the beginning of it, and it just it didn't work. The only thing that saves it at all is Keenan's performance, because Keenan's just Keenan. But this is rough.
Yeah, I really didn't love this. To be honest, this was really rough for me. I could not get how this made the show. It was just one of those things where, like, if the whole joke for here centered on the euphemisms, and it's sort of, I go back to that first sketch of the night, the Channel 4 New York City News, which to me centered more on the puns, and like the quality level dips so much between that and this, even though that one didn't fully hit for me. But this one was like just not clicking on any level. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to say that I will also not love this one on a rewatch as well, as I would expect. Let's move on to another reprise of a sketch. So back in, this is maybe a little nostalgic to think back to the Anya Taylor-Joy episode back in season 46, where I was live with Bill Kenney after that episode in 2021, where we saw a lot of different performers in the sketch, but a similar sketch where we had two people who were interviewing a cast from a TV show. So in this case, we get Bowen and Scarlett interviewing Ego, Marcelo, Sarah, Jane, and Heidi. And of course, Marcelo, as Danny Cheeks, is going to get all of the very easy softball questions. And we're going to have the others getting a lot of more difficult, hard questions based on their backgrounds and things that are happening to them on the show. So Bill, do you remember that sketch from way back in the day in the season 46 finale? And what did you think of them bringing this back?
I do, and I'm always a fan of them bringing back something obscure from 4 or 5 years ago. That was one of our first hot take shows, Jon. So that was a lot of fun to kind of reminisce about tonight. This was pretty good. I think some of the jokes landed better than others, as is always going to be the case. But them really going after Sarah, that she's not attractive as all the others, Ego losing her job and not knowing about it. If you can vote one religion off the planet, what would you do? Like, so I did enjoy that part of it. And obviously Marcelo is, the poster boy for poster boys at this point. So almost meta wrapped into the comedy that's going on here.
Yeah, Victoria, I also have a note here that they did try and bring this back in season 47 in the Billie Eilish episode, but it was cut at Dress. So, very unique, maybe one of the more unique situations in the history of the show to have two versions of a sketch only appear in season finales 4 years apart. Like, it's just a weird thing. But regardless, how did you feel about it?
It's interesting that you mentioned the Anya Taylor-Joy episode. I forgot about that. I was thinking about when she did an interview with Jeremy Renner. It was for the Avengers, and the interviewer had asked her, "You wear such tight, skin-tight clothing. Are you able to wear any garments underneath?" And I think this was and I mean, and that's not the only question that she's, been asked like that, and I thought it was a nod to that, and a great nod to that because a lot of women in the industry are always asked about those types of things, whereas men get either the fun questions or like the serious questions or whatever it may be. So I thought it was a play on that, but I thought they did it pretty well. I thought it was very funny. And, you know, you mentioned some of those examples that are, I think, spot on. But yeah, I thought it was a nod to that. And I was like, and good for her for calling it out.
Yeah, I do feel like I really loved honestly the concept back in season 46. I remember when we were talking about this, and I was like, "This is so smart because this definitely does happen. It definitely speaks to it." I think I haven't watched that sketch in a while, but I think it spoke a lot to like the questions that people of more diverse backgrounds get asked versus others. But I think this one focused a little bit less on that angle of things and more just maybe more like a man versus a woman and how they're treated in these situations. So I think that was probably a little bit of a unique tweak on the sketch versus the first one that we got here. But I did really enjoy that one back then, and I thought that this was another fun one. So happy to have it here. Just was surprised to see it again after so many years. Let's talk about the final sketch of season 50. So we kick things off all the way back at the beginning of season 50 with opening up on all of that, all the presidential stuff. We get the world news tonight and the Harris and Trump rallies. And now we're going to head all the way to bookend the season 50 with our Victorian ladies at lunch sketch, where we'll have Heidi, Scarlett, Sarah, and Heidi with Andrew as the butler all coming out to eat some foods. But different than what you would expect, as they're eating all different types of weird animals with blood and black food everywhere. 3 hours later, we flash forward to they all went to the bathroom, and it turns out is exactly as I love SNL sketches. It turns into an ad for Pepto-Bismol. Victoria, how do you feel about our final sketch of season 50?
More puns, more play on words. I thought it was like, I don't know. With like Chloe spitting the food back out and showing her obvious disgust to what she was eating, I thought it was just like, all right, let's fuck around and have fun. And I kind of like the energy of that. Otherwise, it was just okay. I don't think they needed to make it into a commercial, but that's yes, and I'll touch. So who am I? I'm just a girl. But yeah, it was just fun. It was just a good, let's fuck around and eat some bullshit. No pun intended. Well, some pun intended. And yeah.
Yeah. Interesting choice for the way to end our 50th season here. I believe I did say Heidi twice, so sorry to take away the role from Chloe, but it was Chloe, Heidi, Scarlett, and Sarah in this one. Bill, what do you think about this final sketch, the Victorian ladies at lunch?
Funny enough, you mentioned the first sketch of the season and the last, and they're both brought to you by Pepto-Bismol. So that's really a fun kind of wraparound. Until the button, I was okay with this. I think I love the physical comedy of what was happening. They were all so committed to eating this terrible, whatever the hell they were eating. And every time they cut to Heidi, I was just reminded of that sketch last year where she's eating that huge ass burger, and it's just getting messier and messier. She has none of them have any qualms with embarrassing themselves.
That was this season,
way.
I think.
Was it this season?
I think it was, yeah.
Okay. Either way, I mean, I did enjoy that part of it, but boy, ending on a button, that's a big F you to us, isn't it?
No, that's a rough one to do. So Yeah, this for me definitely falls in the category of more fun than funny. Always happy to see the cast mess around and have a good time with each other. But of course, when you're talking about monumental ways to end the season, I would have liked something bigger, more powerful. So yeah, like I'm glad that the women of SNL had some fun with each other. Interesting enough, though, this seems to be a sketch that was cut from Paul Rudd's Omicron episode in season 47. So it does feel at the end of what is possibly the longest season in SNL history, with the most amount of work that the people at the show have put into, they reached into the archives and just picked a bunch of things that they enjoyed doing and decided that they were going to put them into the finale. So I think that's probably the theme for tonight, based on all of the archival references we have here. So that one was a Jost and PDD sketch that was intended for the Paul Rudd season 47 episode, before, of course, that episode was pseudo canceled. So a fascinating way to end season 50 as we close the books on our sketch recaps on these hot take shows. Of course, I will tell you everything that was cut from this episode. We also have a bunch of changes from dress to air, so I'll do that in a moment. Meanwhile, Bill, Victoria, think about how you want to rate the season finale out of 10. We're also going to ask the chat to do the same. We have a lot of people in the chat here tonight, so we want to see your ratings as you put them in. Let me tell you what was cut or changed from the episode from dress to air. So first, we have a weekend update where we did have Chloe and Heidi on update together with Marcelo at the end as Australian twins who speak at the same time. So I think that was I'm gonna double check that, but I think we may have had something like that cut recently. So they did not make it into the live show. We had a cinema classic sketch with Keenan as Reese DeWatt, as he almost made it into the show as he ran across the studio to play piano in the scene of the movie before returning to host. We had Sarah as a bartender, Scarlett as a love interest, Dismukes as a pilot, and James as Snake Eyes in this sketch. So remember James as Snake Eyes from the previous Jake Gyllenhaal season finale, appeared in this Cinema Classics Casablanca sketch that we did not get here in this episode. We did have a graduation sketch, not a meta graduation sketch like you would expect for a season finale, but just a regular graduation sketch where Sadie N-Word is played by Heidi, and Ego introduce nurses who say their oath, played by Emil, Jane, Devin, and Marcelo. Keenan also introduced some dentists, played by Sarah, Bowen, Longfellow, and Scarlett. We have also a sketch called Couples Therapy, where Mikey plays a therapist. We have Ashley and Longfellow, Keenan and Ego, and Scarlett and Emil. Ashley and Longfellow don't love each other anymore. Keenan cheated on Ego with a college girl. Scarlett cut off Emil's penis and threw it into a bike lane, and it got run over. She also had the idea of tying it to a balloon, and Emil had to buy it back. After hearing the story, Keenan apologizes to Ego, and Ashley and Longfellow are gone. So just a very intense couple who attends couples therapy. Changes from Dressed to Live. We also had in the Miss Eggy sketch or portion of Weekend Update, Ego actually had a gun that she threw back to Colin Jost, and the entire Dress audience had a chance to curse that did not appear in the live show. The Intimacy Coordinator sketch also had Keenan coming back into the sketch to inform Scarlett Johansson what he did watch the porn in live. It ended essentially after he ran through the wall. And yeah, that is the difference between Dress and Air for season 50, episode 20. All right, Bill Kenney, how are you going to rate this season finale? What a wonderful night that we've had here talking through this. What's the number?
I think I'm gonna go with a 7 out of 10 based on update mostly. I think there were a couple of duds, which I feel like I haven't had to say that much this year. So it's a little disappointing to end that way. Maybe 7's a little high, but I feel like with what we got from Jost and Shay and ScarJo was game for anything. That's where I'm going.
All right, Victoria, how will you rate this episode?
I would also give it a 7. Would have given it a 7.5. They didn't cut good nights and not made me go back and watch it on its own. But yeah, a 7. Let me watch it again without the distraction of how they're going to announce who's leaving and whatnot, and maybe it'll get to an 8. So strong 7 it is.
Yeah, that is fair. I think I'm at like a 6.5, if I'm being completely honest about this episode. Carried on the strength of like, I really like what they did in the cold open and the monologue. I also really thought the PDD sketch was very solid tonight. Couple at the bar was a very creative one. Bowen still straight. I think that will will win me over. And I thought that besides the weight of the evening, I do feel like Weekend Update was very solid and it was like a really good time. So I think I'm probably going for 6.5. The post update sketches didn't blow me away, and there was some interesting stuff here. So not the best episode of 2025, certainly, but I do feel like the second half of the season has been more fun for me personally than what we got in 2024. And of course, we will be talking about that a lot as we wrap up our season and go through everything. I do want to also mention some notes from the good nights that we didn't talk about tonight, but we do see, as Scarlett is saying goodbye to everybody into the audience, Colin Jost will walk over and hand her some flowers. So that was a very nice moment. And then I know the good nights got cut for a lot of people on the actual TV feed. They are up on X now, so you can watch the full goodnight. So we do have our team looking through very thoroughly with a fine-tooth comb to see if they see anything significant that is worth talking about. And we definitely see we see Bowen, Heidi, and Mikey together at goodnight. So, something to keep an eye on. And Heidi, Bowen, and Sarah were also crying at the goodnights as well. So it could just be an end of the season type of thing, or just maybe something to as a little bit of an Easter egg as to what might come over the summer. So of course we will be here to talk through it all. With first the rest of the coverage of this episode. So we will talk about the history of Scarlett Johansson as an SNL host and what it meant for her to come back for the season finale, obviously with the new context of what we saw here tonight. So that will be on Monday for our final regular season roundtable. I will be there on Wednesday night with Andrew, Dick, and Mike Murray to go through the screen time from the final episode of season 50, where we will talk through all of the best numbers of the week. And then we will have our final SNL exclusive sketch breakdown on Thursday exclusively for our friends over at Patreon, where you can sign up at patreon.com/the SNL Network. A lot of perks for our members of Patreon, which I'll tell you about in just a moment, coming up very soon. Also on Thursday, on the main feed, we will have an edition of SNL Stories with Fred Armisen. So very excited to present that all to you on Thursday. Just spoke to Fred. Was a really great conversation. So we'll have that interview up for you on Thursday. The following week after that, we're going to have our final roundtable of the season, our postseason roundtable, where we will break down all of the best cold opens, monologues, live sketches, pre-tapes, update bits. You know the drill. We're going to go through all of them. It's basically like an award show where we will talk through the best moments of the season. We will have our final by the number show following that, where Bill will be there with Mike and I, and we will do, it's like a 3-hour show. It's a marathon show where we go through every cast member season through their numbers. We will have our final feedback show where we'll have the form up on Patreon for our friends to sign up and talk about final thoughts on season 50. And then we will head towards the summer, where we will have this insane countdown that we're doing of the 50 greatest SNL episodes of all time. And that is a fan voted countdown. So you can contribute to the poll. We're going to have it out on social media. You can follow us at the SNL Network on any social platform to see that post, where we will ask you to put your favorite episodes of all time, which ones you think are the greatest, to contribute. And Bill and I will count them down all summer long with our podcasters and patrons. So that will be a lot of fun. We also have more SNL stories in the works. And I'm very excited to say that we will have new episodes of everything you need to know about Saturday Night Live kicking off again in June. So stay tuned for the channel for that. Really looking forward to getting back into that with season 21. It's a great one. So it's just really fun to have all that happening here as we head towards season 51. Of course, we will be back in September at the end, the last Saturday night, which is what we expect the season finale of season 51 to be, for the hot take show to break everything down. So Bill, what a great season to get to talk with you. I know we have more coverage to do, but seriously, thank you for joining us once again on a season finale hot take show.
Thanks, John. This is one of my favorite traditions now, coming on and talking with you about the finale. Just overall, what a great season. So many memories made, both on SNL and the SNN. You can find me here, as John said. That's going to be a great summer series. Much more. A lot of different ways to go with that. It's not going to be, Steve Martin and Tom Hanks at the top of the list. It's going to be some interesting choices for greatest episodes of all time. You can also find me at the SNL Hall of Fame, where voting opens on Monday. So make sure you get your ballots in, and we will be finishing up there with the final ride on the SNL Hall of Fame. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Great stuff over there, Bill. I'm really looking forward to seeing how that comes together to end the season at the SNL Hall of Fame. Victoria, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight on the season finale hot take show. Anything you would like to say to our listeners?
Yeah, this was really fun. Am glad that I was able to be here for the finale with the two of you. It's been a minute, so yeah, I miss my pals and I missed everyone in the chat too. Very, I mean, of course, all of us are big fans of SNL, so being able to cover this on the SNN network is like a very big deal. Um, for me, it's a little bit more personal because I'm in the comedy world too, and being able to say like, oh, I got to submit something for the 50th season, even though obviously I wasn't on the show,
Yes.
yeah, not yet. It's still very special to me. Not many people can say that, and it's just near and dear to my heart. I am also wearing, hold on, the SNL 50 concert T-shirt that they sold. Yeah, no, I'm very honored to be part of this show, and I'm very grateful to SNL to give me something to get through junior high and high school and survive this thing called life. But if you want to see me do comedy, I will be performing at Go Comedy in Ferndale, Michigan on May 24th, 7:30 and 9:30 p.m. And more in June once that schedule comes out. And hopefully I'll be around here some more talking smack with my best pals. I don't know what else to say. It's 2:30 in the morning
Well,
and
no,
I'm
you
tired,
did
but I
great.
love
So,
everybody.
yeah, I really appreciate you, Victoria.
I
So
love everyone and everything.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for all of that. And I look, and I know I'm going to do a lot of this, as we wrap up the season. But I just sincerely want to thank everyone who's with us tonight in our live chat or watching after the fact. Some of you only do come hang out with us for the hot take show, and like that's the fun thing about the SNN is like we do produce a lot of content, but you can sort of pick and choose whether you want to just jump into one show or you want to check out everything. And we're just really thankful for all of you. So, my dream. This is 5 years into doing this. Had an amazing season with season 50. Obviously, got a lot of really great opportunities with this show and connecting to SNL this season. But my dream was always to find that spark that I had when I was younger with my friends where we were watching the show together, and just really every Saturday night to get to stay up late and you coming to us from all around the world, coming to us to be your home for post coverage of Saturday Night Live, like really means the absolute world. I would not be doing this every Saturday after the show if it wasn't for all of our friends hanging out with us, both in the live chat and after the fact. So thank you so much for staying with us. And if you do enjoy what we do over here, please subscribe to the podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, because it does help more people find the show. You can always leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or write a comment on our YouTube video to let us know what you thought of the show. You can give us a thumbs up as well. We do really appreciate it. I want to thank our presenting partner, LateNighter.com. I'm really, really proud of everything that's happening over at Late Nighter. I've been doing a lot of really great work with them, and the site is just looking fantastic. So all summer long, you'll continue to see amazing coverage of all of the late night shows, not just SNL, but really, if you're a fan of late night, there's no better place to be on the internet than LateNighter.com. So go check that one out over there. Thanks to Bill, Victoria, and sincerely all of the podcasters that have been with us all season long on this hot take show that we do every Saturday after a new episode. So very excited to continue talking about this one all week long and get into our postseason coverage. And then the march towards season 51 begins right now. So thanks everybody in the live chat. My name is Jon Schneider from the SNN. We will see you next time, everybody. Have a good one.